What's up, everyone, and welcome to another episode of End of Twins. Today we're gonna talk about the deep, not the deep from the boys. Hell no, that guy is a creep. We're talking about DeepSeek and how DeepSeek is actually impacting the AI world and maybe changing AI. I mean, how we see it forever. I mean, if you just look at the stock exchange, fucking wiped out $1 trillion of market cap from all the big companies. So like Microsoft, Amazon, like all the big tech. But Mark, which one was an exception? Like, of course, OpenAI, of course, is decreased. GeForce, like Nvidia, decreased by like 14%. But Mark, which one did not? Let's the audience guess a little. 1-2 seconds. All right.
Tick tock.
All right, Mark. You had enough time to guess. It was Meta. And why do we think that? Yes, Meta had also some cool shit, but it's also an open source. They don't care. They have their source, their model anyways, open source, so they're not like proprietary data. So all good. So they are good to go, and it also just shows for them that they can do this as well. And
Which for me is like very interesting, the entire concept of open source, because like Mark and I always we love Y Combinator, and Y Combinator always, especially over the last 2 batches, always ask for more open source. And now this is another open source project. Of course, it's on a bigger scale, etc. But overall, open source is just like great for everybody, because in the end, well, not for everybody, for OpenAI might not be, but for everybody else, it's fucking fantastic. You can just host these models locally, and you can see, like, that's also one of these things which is super fascinating is the other models, you need to run them on a GeForce, right? So that's why GeForce was like going up, just top right. Now you see on DeepSeek, somebody was actually able to host the biggest model with Max, so that he stacked, I think, 5 or 6 Max, and then was able to run the model, like the biggest model, which is fantastic, or like just like mind blowing that he was able to do that on an open source model. So that's, for me, like it shows, or it's good because it will enable more competition and people can choose which model to run on.
Well, I want to say this is all an if, because this is released by the Chinese government, so there's always a big let's wait and let's see if this is real. If these are actually what we see and hear is the truth, then this is actually his crazy implications in terms of how we see how AI models should be trained, how much GPU power do we actually need for this. And also, I read an article about it. How does it impact, talked about this already before, real world models, and how that will impact it, since you don't need that much training. And this is kind of cool. Also, one thing that I saw on there as well was like, okay, what is ChatGPT doing? Because this was released in the inauguration with Trump, and then ChatGPT had to answer, obviously. So they did a ChatGPT 3.0 mini now for the free tier available. And one thing that I didn't know but is available at ChatGPT is called ChatGPT Operator.
Operator.
Do you know what that is? Oh, smooth.
Yes.
Operator.
So ChatGPT Operator, for those who don't know, it's basically, it enables, well, it can do tasks in a browser. So let's say, for example, can click on the website, can read the website, understands the website, and then I think Cloud does it as well. So like these models, so they're able to do that in general.
She's French. It's Claude.
Claude, oui, je m'appelle. Anyway, so these are, which is kind of interesting, but still, these models are not only available under the $200 per month paywall.
I didn't even know there's a $200 plan. What the hell is this?
I didn't even know either. Like, for us, I was like, damn, I'm paying already at $25, and I thought this was already expensive. But the $200, I mean, I think like for everyday users, it might not be worth it. But if you look at businesses, there's cool implications. For example, if you have a business where you want to enable people to fill out documents, right? So, for example, help them fill out their insurance claims, etc. Normally, it's a pain in the butt for most people. Imagine you can just talk with an AI and it fills out all the documents for you. This is freaking fantastic. So I believe once these models, I'm sure that DeepSeek will also release those open source models. Then it's like when I see a lot of value creation, because in the end, man,
it's mind blowing to me. This is crazy. If you think about it, Lucas, there's no limit
what is
to
the combination? Also, Also think about the combination. It's first of all visual recognition, right? So basically it needs to analyze what happens on the screen or what
Yeah.
is on the screen. Is this a button? Is this not a button? Once it says, okay, this is a button, awesome, let me scroll the rest, which is visually which you can see. I'm not sure actually whether it goes um, on the back end, whether it sees like the code of the website itself or just visually, right? Let's stick with it. It just analyzes the visual part, right?
Good
So it
question.
just analyzes everything, needs to process it, and then also help you fill it out. Like this is for me mind blowing because it's
Okay,
like must be different agents work together.
let's think about a use case. So I was just thinking, I was talking to Lucas about this because Lucas does it right now, anyways, with a little bit of help of ChatGPT, tax filings,
Oh
like a little bit of these
man,
things.
pain in the butt.
And it explained for Lucas because we have a German company. He had to fill it out in Elster, so which is like the
Well,
German online filling out tax and stuff. But he still to like he used ChatGPT to understand where he needs to fill in what. I think about the next level, he just fucking does it automatically.
still there's like for example what I'm when I'm doing it right now it sometimes says okay this is in this line, so it sometimes is wrong with the line because it thinks they like a different Elster format. So what I'm like, or the document at least, so what I'm doing right now I have to copy paste each page. I think it's like 10-15 pages and then go one by one and say hey fill this out. And so like it's not as accurate, right? And it's like still a lot of manual labor even though it's copy paste and then like seeing making sure it's the right one, did it understand it correctly. And then once it says understands it like visually, man, this is so much easier, especially because there are always these tooltips, right? So for example, at least in Germany, you have the tooltip and it says, hey, this is fill
Hmm.
this out for this information. Like, I don't know, only if you have working in forestry or whatever. So it's like very cool tooltips. And if it can visually understand it, and it just makes it so much better. I think it's really, really cool.
Well, if you think about it this way, look, it's already great. Look, you have absolutely no idea about tax, maybe a little bit, and this already enabled you to do this. Think about it, how this will help the average person at some point that you can just directly and people can give you give me money for doing this. You can just have the service. Hey, $100, I'll do your fucking tax returns. Don't even need an accountant for that because I don't know. Accountants they don't have a good reputation, let's put it this way. Um so I think this is fantastic, and this works for everything
Oh,
that you
I
can
just
do and fill out online. Like think about it, like massive applications for anything. You can have this fill it out. You just like look. You this is okay. I wouldn't give him access to my bank account, but here,
no,
this is basically my tax. Well, whatever my bank account. This is what the movements were. Hey, please do this for me, and this is
bro.
all the invoices I got.
I
You
really,
just drop a box, a fucking folder in there, and let's go. Awesome.
I think that's freaking fantastic. But I had a really dumb idea, which some
Tell
people
us.
might be using. So imagine you have the operator, and the model like will be cheaper, okay? But there are companies who pay you to fill out forms, okay? Who make you fill out forms or questionnaires, etc. So what you could do, and then one point in time, I'm sure people will be using this. You could just
Oh
have
my god, that's pretty
basically
good,
the
actually.
operator, like the model itself, fill it out and just like okay, give it different personalities. Like hey, fill it out with like 100 different versions. It does it all automatically. You don't have to do anything. Basically, you just pay your subscription, and that's it. It makes money for you. Fills it out. I mean, I'm sure there will be like at least a couple people who will be doing this. I mean, I will try it. Hell, fuck yeah. I mean, it's just the idea because it's possible because people are paying for like surveys and that way. I'm not sure whether like how cheap this model needs to get or this subscription to make it worth these like worth it, right? Because in the end, it's like you might have limits. For example, in ChatGPT 4, you had at the beginning limits how much you could text with it, usage.
Yeah.
Same with Operator, I'm assuming has the same limitation. So I'm sure there will be an arbitrage opportunity once the cost is low enough to actually use it for these kind of stuff.
I mean, yeah. I also saw that another thing, another model I saw. I mean, this is not related to now the operator thing. So operator finishing up. I think it's crazy what these opportunities will be, and at some point, maybe. Well, I saw a video also. It says everything will be API based. Yes and no, because I think the average guy still doesn't know what an API is or what it means. But I think that the interaction, how we interact with websites, will be completely different. So
I believe it will be a Chrome extension. Like imagine you just have a Chrome extension because you don't want to have it directly. Each website has an AI bot. Rather, you will have one who's universal. So basically, it will a Chrome extension and it says, "Hey, allow to fill out forms for you." Then you might just even
well,
just talk with it.
even go a little bit further. Think about it. Look, what do all most people have? Not everyone has a computer. Most people have a mobile.
Yeah.
So you just have your mobile. You just like, hey, you say like, hey, please fill out this, and then have all the documents. Like, hey, okay, give me the path to your folder where you have everything in there. Add this in there, and boom, there you go.
Also on the phone, which I think is something really important to consider, is always like privacy, especially with like phone number, not phone number, passwords, etc. So imagine because you have on the phone, at least Apple and I think Android as well has like their own chip where it's own like all the passwords are,
Oh,
and
encryption.
also exactly where your wallet is as well, right? So these like credit cards are saved on a different chip. So imagine it can just the model doesn't know what's in it; it just fills the information out. So it never saves it locally or never touches the model itself. It will just take the package and fill it in there.
I mean, this is the cool shit. I mean, this is the thing we don't have to figure out, but someone will figure this out,
Oh yeah.
and that will be so interesting to use at that point because it enables everyone who is a little bit tech affine or knows what to use to be 10, 100, a
Well,
thousand times more productive and
I'm
do
saying
the
right now, by the end of this year, this will happening. Like operators, like in general, where you have people filling where AI fills it out, will happen by the end of this year, beginning of next year. No, end of this year. My assumption. It's like
dude.
ChatGPT 4.
I mean, think about it this way another way. I was just thinking this will maybe help fast track that job wise we going more backwards to labor jobs or etc. Because end of the day, technology in terms of robots, it will still take some more time to do these tasks because they're really hard to do, and especially human to human interaction. People will, for at least a decade, will be able to tell the difference between a robot and a person.
I
Just
agree.
different.
I think it will just remove all the boring paperwork. Maybe, for example, in home care,
Oh
you have
yeah,
like 3 or 4 hours of paperwork that you have to do. So it will just extract all of this, so you can focus on doing your actual job. Because like, who fucking loves doing paperwork? It just sucks. It's not beneficial for anybody besides for the government as well. What
yeah.
I believe what it actually helps your line of thought, because these models need to understand you, so you need to learn how to better express yourself. Even though the metal models get better to understand you, but you need to know, because sometimes people start talking without knowing what they really want. So this model
Yeah.
will need to get understand that as well. But if you will need to same with like prompts, right now the prompts you text normally, so you can create a line of thought before actually pressing send. Later on mostly will be voice, and then it also you need
Yeah, I
to
believe
understand.
big in voice. Yeah.
Yeah, of course it's not always applicable. Imagine the metro, everybody just keeps talking to themselves. It's But it will make a huge difference, especially for elderly people where texting is not native, where speaking is more natural, and especially when they just feel like they're talking to a normal being. So I think that will be
I
huge
mean,
impact.
I'm not that old, and I don't enjoy texting a lot. I'd rather have like speech to text, which I think is fantastic,
Yeah.
or directly a voice message because I think it's better for chatting speech to text in the regard of people can read faster. Because when I get a voice message, it's too long. I'm like,
Is it worth
I'm
it?
not
Is
gonna
he a
listen
good
to this
friend?
right now. Exactly, like 2 minutes. Because what kind of message? How long would a message have to be? That I have to list to read 2 minutes? Like crazy. It needs to be 2 pages, basically. So that's why I think it's like text to speech, and which is a little bit sad that WhatsApp doesn't have it right now. But that would be super cool.
Oh yeah, I would appreciate it. I'm sure it will be once you have the models locally. But yeah, man, I love it. I love where this is going. I'm excited. Like this is just like for me that more open source models, because like Llama was already great. Now another one comes out, so it gives the people the option to choose one, which I think fascinating. The next one I'm looking forward to is when they actually bring out not LLMs, but more TMMs, so tiny TLMs, so tiny language models. So when it's
Oh
more
yeah.
on mobile apps, on mobile devices, right? When you have these tiny models that are also, I'm sure there will be in 1 or 2 years, which is as good as the ChatGPT 4, just on a TLM, so on the mobile. And
Oh,
that's
you
when
don't
it
need
gets really,
more,
really
to be honest.
fascinating.
What do you need more?
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. You don't need more. Of course, if you want for coding capabilities, etc. But for the everyday, man, for emails, etc., fantastic. And I think with this, I also
Agree.
want to leave this because I think it's a fantastic episode. If you don't have anything else, of course, please let us know what you
Hell
guys
no.
believe in it. Is it good or bad thing about the open source? Are you afraid of the Chinese model? Also, if you're afraid of that the Chinese government might get information, just don't use the website DeepSeek itself. You can use other
Or
proxies.
neither the mobile app, because they might be
Exactly,
hosted somewhere else.
exactly. Even though it's right now in place number one in the App Store, right? You can just like host the model yourself or use proxies. I think which one? 1 second. So they have Perplexity, because if they host the models themselves in the US or Europe,
I think Hugging
um,
Face has it as well.
exactly. That way, you don't have to be afraid that your information will be shared, at least not to the Chinese government. So I think that's really important, because that's the biggest fear, I'm assuming. Because if this would have been a different country, people would be even more excited. But yeah, just keep that in mind. You can always just go offline or host it yourself. Like you can host it on anything or use other like Perplexity. But with this, I want to keep it short, guys. Hope you love it because we got super excited, probably as you can tell from our
Yeah.
voices. That's freaking amazing. And of course, catch you next one. Peace.
Peace.